Hey everyone, there's an issue with traffic, so we're going to be pushing this off by about 15 to 20 minutes. So we should be starting about 10:15 to 10:30. Hey everyone, just a reminder, it's going to be 10:15 to 10:20. There's a bit of a delay. Hey, just a reminder, we're starting about 10:15, 10:30, because of a delay. 10:15 delay.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, no, we saw it. Well, listen, you're the only reason I'm doing well in the first place by keeping Joel. But you set me up for some success. Perfect. Nope.
Yeah, so they did that with each center, they have a class.
Right.
And then there was an additional.
Oh, yes.
I know that's a weird way. I know. No, because I know they're still in practice.
Oh, yeah. Guys, watch out.
Huh?
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, so I was like, well, it was funny that was the time that they.
Pick it up.
So is it?
Can't tell. People sign.
There's 11 people on.
Oh, okay.
Always a new experience. Live stream something.
The handle.
Wait, maybe just like one more question. No. He was amazing. He said nothing.
No, I know.
Everyone, we're just gonna wait for a few more families, so about 5-10 more minutes.
I was like, oh my god, like who said these? And you know what they said? Oh my god, we need her. Like, nobody has it. Like what? It's impossible. They don't understand what that means. Yeah, overturn cement truck.
So I got.
I was trying to tell people, I'm like, please use ways raise like
That's what I got doing.
Yes. We have to,
Yeah, one the 210 and then the 180.
yeah. We got up on Devonshire. So
Everywhere.
yeah. So I think grab what you can.
Let me ask. Garrett?
Our generation. So this is Robert. You guys have met, but now it's a little more context, right? So this is the man who's absolutely the closest.
Yeah.
She called me and said, "So look at you or the other."
I feel like I met you too.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah.
One of the somebody is hotspotting from their phone. It makes a connection. It's not connecting to the internet.
So far, that's
Okay.
I met my Sinai Chapter. We're all kind of.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me tell her.
I'm gonna shut this
We're
off.
gonna wait for.
Okay, that's fine.
more cousins.
That's fine. You make the camera. No,
This is screening.
I know. I understand that. That's fine. That's fine. Jesse.
This is why
Can't ask Eric to be anyone but himself.
you can't put him next to a light microphone.
They're like little things to like pick up everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they said this 100 times. So be very careful. Be very, very careful. But, okay, but I had to make the announcement a few times because get stuff.
When we're
too.
doing streaming during the high holidays during COVID, we had lights in the back to show when it was live and when it was
Oh, that's smart.
because the banter that was happening, your banter, and then he makes some Eric Mamos inappropriate comments, and then
But so we're waiting for one more lesson, and we'll start at 10:30.
sounds good. All right,
And if they didn't catch
everyone
that,
who's watching, we're starting at 10:30.
if you tell them big overturned big rig cement.
There was an overturned big rin. Oh, you know what? Hold on, Eric. You can explain.
Yes.
You can explain to the people.
Hi. For those watching, yes, it's LA traffic. There was an overturned big rig on the route to the cemetery, so almost everybody's late. So we apologize to those watching. Hang tight, grab, I don't know, some popcorn, I guess. That's what people usually want when they see my eulogies. So, but no, we are good. Hang tight, and we will be back shortly.
Fantastic.
Yo. I'll introduce you formally.
And honestly, no one hears what your dad has to say, but you probably should do it.
But so, do you remember my friend Dave? Oh, you've met him. Like you guys probably like him. This is Caleb, the eldest. That one is the tall one. And that's just. He's the one that wanted to trade for one of you guys. He's like, I need to trade away.
Ready to burn. I got you. The cheapest steak possible. All vegetarian. How much does tofu cost compared to filet mignon?
It's
Good news on the cheap thing. I like coffee and coffee. Works out.
There's no way you can take the same seat
I know. Last time, she's been there
I wasn't sure who you were. Just knew you looked like.
Yeah. Related. Oh, okay. Oh, so you're just like hang out. That's cute.
Summer. Depends where you get a call attached.
Well, listen, our old days of ping pong will never be forgotten. Okay. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. It's so bad.
Yeah. And then none. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm like, there
that
was
was good.
somebody in
Yeah.
late November.
Thanksgiving weekend. Oh my gosh. And Nunu was August also. That's crazy.
Oh.
And that's so crazy. Nunu was August. Yeah. The rest of you August. Yeah. She's at
Yeah, she's
I haven't even showed her.
Wow. That's just.
yeah.
It's a tough call now. I said to my dad, I'm like, not to make you crazy. I get that all of his parents are here, but all like we did the same thing. Maybe we consider. Yeah, really. I know.
I think it's just like, you know, I mean, for Eric and I, it's just, I think, because we have to do it like parents. It's more like, I don't want like my kids having to like go through all this thing.
I think that's why.
Yeah.
It feels weird, trust me. It felt very weird, but it's more like, I can take something that they don't have to deal something that in that midst they don't have to deal with. Yeah. Over there is 2
Okay, we're about to start in just a few minutes.
Still want to be there, Mom? Oh, can't get to you anytime soon.
Trying to shield our kids.
Two tall kids. Let me see your part two. I'll introduce you guys. These are my 3 boys. That's Ethan. This is Eric. This is Eric. That's Ben. And that's Caleb. He's the oldest of that. And he's the one going to college. Okay. Let's get started.
Okay.
just didn't really.
Where's
mention
Robert?
it, so I would call him. It's a lot.
Robert's going to 13.
No, but he's still. Yeah, where's Lear? Lear, yeah. Lear. That's awesome. Yeah.
I made it a 25th, trying to reach out.
Where do you want to?
Side of the lefties on that.
I'm lefty, so I need to be lefty.
You and Lear.
There you lefty. Huh? So am I. I'm left. My strong arm is still my left arm.
It's so narrow.
Once we get these trimmings out, watch your step here.
Maybe we should have been arm wrestling. Get our strength up.
At this point, we're going to face each other. We're going to grasp the hand with both hands. We're going to side the front to the board. Okay? Lift it at the end, please. Okay, go ahead and lower. Okay, Casper, thank you so much for your assistance. You may join your family. You may exit the wing. Thank you.
You want me to start it there? Wait, I'll leave a minute. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not able to get under the shade, there are umbrellas over here to my left, to your right. If you'd like to use those, feel free to do that. And there's also water in the cooler next to the umbrellas.
Thank you.
Aaron, everyone here that you see everyone?
So, is your mom?
Oh, you know what? They're walking.
Okay. I can't.
I couldn't see.
They're too short to hit the cars. With everybody having SUVs.
That's true. Make sure your dad has a place to sit. There's other seats right here in the front if you want, or in the middle. Yeah. like to welcome everyone this morning. Please join with me in Psalm 23 in English. We're found on page 7. Page 7. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We gather to pay tribute and honor the life of David Mamos. And this morning we will hear from those who cherished and loved him. And first to speak this morning is his cousin Robert.
I've struggled about what I should say today, and to be honest, I'm not sure why. For those that do not know, or who know only a little about us, David and I were cousins born 2 weeks apart and spent most of our lives as brothers. It was one of those special relationships where you could share anything about life without judgment and know that the other person truly understood you. David was about duality. He was enthusiastic but zen. He was also calming. He was spiritual, around. In our small circle of friends, there were pranks and jokes that spanned decades. For example, our friend Aaron hated tomatoes. One day, while we were in high school, Aaron left a used Coca-Cola can in Dave's car and ran off. David was not happy that he was going to have to pick up after Aaron, so he filled the can with crushed tomatoes and left it in Aaron's house. This stupid can went back and forth through our college and married years, all the way to today. David cherished his friends and the memories that we built together. Another time I went to a photo booth because I had to take a serious photo of something. I don't remember what it was. I thought it took 2 photos, but it actually took 3 photos. So while in the booth, I stood up prematurely, and the 3rd photo ended up looking very stupid. So of course I threw the whole set away, and it comes on that one sheet. I didn't know, but Dave went back and grabbed the photos and saved them. And as you can imagine, this set of photos made its return decades later, and David laughed and laughed at me. David really took care in making fun of you, but he took even more care in being there for you. When our son Nicholas was born, David was his godfather. David was a day trader who bought stocks. Each birthday, David bought stocks that represented the age that Nicholas was. So he began with a diaper company, then a toy company, and so on. Even in something as straightforward as an investment account, David inserted symbolism and meaning. And decades later, this account still exists. The truth is, I can go on and on about the careful ways in which he showed how much he loved you, but everyone here already knows this. David was a good man, a righteous man, an example we should all think about when deciding how to treat and respect others, with love and with humor, to uplift each other and to be there for each other. I will always miss David, and I will celebrate him by trying to be more like him. May he rest in peace.
Next to speak is David's friend Mark.
So when I was preparing to have a few words about Dave, I spoke with Rob and I said, where do I start? This is a complex guy. He has lots of parts. He's irreplaceable, certainly. But I thought, well, what do I do? Well, why don't I start with some definitions? It sounds very Dave-like. So we ended up coming up with a list. It was a very fast list. Could it be much longer than it is? Let's see. Well, he was the biggest financial brain in the room, guaranteed. His advice was spot on. I remember one time he told me, Mark, you need to invest in this very strange, something you can't touch concept called Bitcoin. You could buy it. It's cheap. It's going to go places. I said, Dave, I'm not buying any resource of anything I can't touch and see. And frankly, I don't understand what it is. I should have followed that advice. I think it can be said that Dave is a loyal friend. He was a shirt off the back kind of guy. And I mean it. He would give you anything. If you needed it, he would. Stubborn as hell, but open to persuasion. Which was, if you wanted to work with Dave, you had to know what you were talking about. Because he was pretty convinced he was right. But you could persuade him if you had the right arguments, and he seemed open. He was adventurous, within limits. And I'm thinking back to the times when I scooped him up and Dave and I and Seiko managed to traverse, seemed like all of Japan, looking for this wonderful model program that was doing wonderful work in viticulture for young adults with disabilities. And there he was, right there with me, Seiko 2, translating, figuring out the process, and Dave was right there to back me up. Here's one. I think this is unique. I think Dave was uniquely gifted in balancing Robert. Sorry, Robert. It just is. I don't know what else to say. He was a competitor. I think my brother, Darren, DW, he's the only guy, frankly, that he feared in the fantasy baseball league. And he used to say that Dave is the only guy who managed to do back-to-back championships, and he would always get the better of Darren in trades. And he would call me and lament about this. Dave. I would say Dave was patient, even if exasperated. He was patient with us, especially Ev and I. I think Dave used to say to us all the time, hey, Mark, Eva, take it easy. Just take it easy. Calm down. Take it easy. I don't know if that's the catchphrase with all of you, but that was the case with us. We had the concept that Rob was talking about, the enthusiasm tempered with logic and precision. I think Dave was family focused. He was interested in updates. He always wanted to know what was happening with his nephews. He always delighted in photographs, Andrew and Sophie, and celebrated right there along with us. He was Uncle Dave to our family. He is Uncle Dave to our family. I'd say he was grounded. He had a knack and understanding, and he understood the big picture of things. He understood the why. And I think he was mature beyond his years in that respect. Okay, I had to throw this one in. I know the family is Star Trek inclined. Spock-like logic. In fact, he'd probably ask me why the hell we're all so upset today. Dave used to tell us all the time that passing is just like birth. It just happens. And he never understood why people cried at funerals. He said this to us 2 or 3 times. Dave, we're going to miss you. Take it easy, brother. We'll see you on the other side. Take it easy.
Mark.
Next to speak is David's friend, Charles.
Good morning, everybody. I don't have anything written down. I'll just be rambling. So forgive me if I do. Anyways, I met Dave my first or second year in college, and the first day of class, the teacher said, "Okay, everybody, just get in groups of 3. We have a project. You're going to start." And just by geographic luck or whatever, Dave and I look at each other, shrugged our shoulders. And there was this other guy, this Vietnamese guy named Vindo. I still remember his name. Don't remember the project. And the 3 of us just did the project, and you had to meet after class. And Dave and I just connected. It just I don't know. It just became buddies, and then over time became my best friend. And I don't know what the hell happened to Vin. But yeah, Dave and I endured. We were kind of, I don't know, we were a bit maybe quirky, maybe a bit nerdy. We could make each other laugh. He really had a great sense of humor, dry and mean, just real funny. We both loved Howard Stern. This whole Star Trek thing, I remember when I met him and Eric would have this ritual where they would watch The Next Generation together, and I was not invited. I was like, I like that show. Well, it's kind of our thing. It's kind of weird. Anyways, so let's see. And of course, I knew Dave maybe about a year, and I said, "Oh, by the way, Dave, I'm gay," and did make a bit of difference. And back then, it was a lot different. You're kind of nervous, and oh, cool, whatever. So, and then, so he's like, "Oh my God, my good friend's gay, and you know what? My brother has a gay friend." I'm really? He goes, "Yeah, you guys should meet." So then Eric introduced his best friend Adrian to me, and it wasn't a romantic connection, but we became friends, and our friendship endures to this day. Jeff is in my life, one of my closest friends, because of this connection that I just think back, Dave, just you think about how life takes a quick turn, and everybody in your life now is due to one person, and you can say, "Gee, thanks, Dave. I never told him that." We look back and think, because I was thinking back this week, and like, wow, yeah, just what if I hadn't been sitting next to Dave in that class, and where would life be? You never know. And all my close friends now are as a result of your introduction, Eric, of Adrian. It's just crazy. Think how. And throughout the years, I always tried to make Dave travel. We went to Costa Rica and Panama together, and that just kicked his butt because it was so damn hot and humid. And everywhere we stayed, it had to have air conditioning. And I'm like, "Come on, let's rough it." Oh, hell no. He was, that trip really was a doozy. And then let's see, we both love gambling, going to the racetrack, Vegas, you name it. He got me into stocks. Yes, Mark. He taught me all about stocks. I knew nothing about it. And then fast forward, I guess it was 2014. He moved to Japan. I went out there a couple of times and saw he was truly happy out there, and that really felt good. He seemed to have found his place. And of course, we know what happened a couple of years later. And then I saw him a few times in Japan after that, and just it was tough, of course, very tough. But I guess in short, yeah, thanks, Dave, for enriching my life. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it.
And next to speak is David's brother, Eric.
Hi, everybody. I've been really also thinking what to say. So let me start with September 2nd, 1989. No, maybe not a day that will live in infamy, but a day that changed our relationship forevermore. I was 13, he was 18, and those days, he was driving his 1980 Toyota Celica GT, complete with racing stripes and louvers, and I was on my Diamondback bicycle, and decided it'd be really a cool thing to chase him down the street in my bike with the car. But unfortunately, I took a spill and ended up in the hospital. And it was a very serious head injury to the point where the doctors at the time told my parents I had 10 minutes to live. So my parents, they were a complete mess. And again, there's a little bit of hearsay because I was not awake. But what I'm told is at that moment David took over. And before that, our relationship was typical, brothers. It was fighting, arguing, yes, watching every episode of Star Trek, watching the Lakers. Those were all the things. And then he would tease me a lot. For those of you that don't know, we're also hemophiliacs. So we weren't allowed to hit each other. So we didn't have that brotherly thing. Like there was no, hitting is off limits. So David became a master at teasing, at making me think all kinds of things that were just absolutely not true and things like that. But that moment in the hospital, that changed everything, because now he was almost like a second, another parent, because he's like, no, this my brother is not leaving. It's not his time. So, he took charge, and it also happened to be just prior to me shifting from a very, very, very small private school to a very large public school in 9th grade. It was like the day before school. And I recovered, if you didn't notice. And I ended up going to school about a month late. And this is a school where, again, socially, it was a disaster, because, here I am, this little white Jewish boy showing up with a shaved head, not knowing a single person, right, in the school. So I had that to contend with, and then academically, I was so far behind, it was like an uphill battle. But after I got out of the hospital, David took me under his wing and said, I gotcha. You worry the social part, but academically, I gotcha. And he tutored me, I think, the entire year, made sure I didn't fail too miserably. And he kind of really took over as just another mentor, as another parent. And that's, like I said, that was a pivotal change, of our relationship, and we started to become closer at that moment. And, unfortunately, I'm a little bit upset now, because he didn't teach me anything about stocks, like not a thing. Like, and to this day, I'm clueless. I completely don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know. I guess that gift was reserved for others. But what he did leave is the fight, is the persistence, is that even with our health challenges, right? There is no need to live our life in a bubble, right? We need to live the life that we're going to lead every single day to the very end. And in 2015, when he had his stroke, he persevered, right? And he was, his life was forever changed. But he never gave up. He kept this optimism that, earlier in his life, he didn't have that optimism. He was strong, but he wasn't like overly optimistic, right? Very pragmatic, very like analytical, right? But after, like, I really felt that he had hope regardless of the uphill battle. And even as we worked towards moving him to Los Angeles, which was planned for December, and that's really all. I could talk more about that at a later time, but it is a huge gut punch. But even after that, and I would told him, look, the only condition I have for you to come to LA is only one. I want you to participate in stroke studies. I want you to be involved. I want you to go out. And he just nodded. He's absolutely, like, enthusiastically almost. And I'm like, oh, this is great, because I get another gut punch. I truly believe, and I think he did too, that they would find a way to improve, his life, his abilities, be able to walk again. Like, we were so hopeful to the end. But like, I think Mark did, Dave, it's just like you say, like, things just happen one day to the next, and we can't control them. We can dictate them. They are just going to do what they're going to do. So that is how I remember David, and then ultimately when he did have the second stroke, doctors were predicting he's got hours, he got to 2 days, and he survived a full 10 days. Throughout, I see pictures of him, see video of this. I'm like, maybe it's okay. Maybe this is what was intended, right? Maybe this because I do believe in the end he was suffering to an extent, and I think if he had somehow recovered even from the second stroke, what would have been, right? It was a tough situation, but he still pushed through it. He survived much longer than anybody expected him to, and I think when he was done, that was it. And now it's up to us to remember him. It was very important for me to bring him back here because I really want to make sure there was a place for us, for my kids to visit this great human. So I'm just ecstatic that we were able to achieve that. I think that's it. I think I'll have a lot more stories for Shiva, but I think I'm good for right now. Thank you.
David was born on January 20th, 1971. And as many of you already know, within days of being born, he was diagnosed with hemophilia. You could say that the diagnosis shaped the early years of his life because, as explained to me, he was in and out of the hospital, an otherwise healthy-looking kid who would sit for hours in the hemophiliac and oncology units because the two were connected. And he would wait for hours and hours while his parents and doctors worried about each bruise or scrape, doing more and more lab work. And yet anyone would have expected that this protective and necessary upbringing would hold David back, would diminish his spirit, but it did nothing of the sort. In fact, he was the person who had the phrase Carpe Diem hanging on his wall, seize the day, and that he did. Eric was fortunate, as he just explained, to have David as a role model. Brothers who loved to play sports. I was told football was not allowed. But you could find Eric and David playing basketball and, of course, enjoying those moments together. And David took his position as brother very seriously. You heard how he paved the way socially and academically for Eric during a high school transition that was nothing less than a culture shock. But he also loved to tease Eric because that's what brothers do. No, they weren't allowed to physically fight. No unnecessary hospital visits for them. But David would tease Eric by convincing him that he held the power to cancel television shows. And not just any television shows, but magically David held the superpower to cancel Eric's favorite television shows. So when he was angry or frustrated with Eric, David would run to the telephone and put in a call to immediately eliminate the greatest American hero. And there was Eric, the younger brother, believing that his big brother David always held this unmatched trick up his sleeve. Whether it was sharing sci-fi stories or, yes, recording, I believe, all 175 episodes of Star Trek together, sharing a love of comic books, David taught Eric that no illness would define them or their bond. Quite the contrary. What defined their relationship was true brotherhood, being playful and silly, but moreover, having this protective connection that no one would ever breach. I asked Eric, what is it that David has taught you? You didn't hesitate in your answers. He taught you and your parents and family and friends about the value of perseverance. That even after his strokes, he would rarely complain because he wanted to live. In fact, David saw the joy, Eric, that you achieved in your own life. And in a bit of a role reversal, he looked at you and he realized that he too could have a happy life, that a different path could be his future as well. And even though because of the stroke, it was hard to convey this positivity in full sentences, he would send you emojis, birthdays, Jewish holidays. He sent, I'm sure many of you, celebratory emojis to show that he was part of your life, but moreover, that you were part of his. This was his way of continuing to seize the day, to choose life, and ensuring he was connected to all of you. And I think most of all, he taught you the essence of gratitude. David knew that Eric and Lisa were working very hard to create a new life for him here in the States. And even though he could have expressed pessimism or doubt, he didn't. He longed for your family, and he felt a deep sense of appreciation for what you were trying to do to actualize his desires. The psalmist teaches, Limnot yamenu ken hoda benavev levav b'chochma. Teach us to count our days rightly, that we may obtain a wise heart. In other words, says the psalmist, in very different words, carpe diem. Make each day count. Because this is what David did. It's what he modeled and taught his entire life. In a journey filled with countless challenges, he led a life of strength and endurance, finding ways to connect and finding ways to make moments matter. And as he ended each conversation with Eric and Lisa, he managed to type or text, "Thank you. I love you." His life concluded with words of thanks and with words of love. And that's how he will be remembered. A man with an incredible amount of strength. A man whose love will extend through the heavens. A love that will never be extinguished, but rather continue through each of you. May David's memory forever be a blessing. Amen. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise as we lower the casket. Al Mikomo Yavo V'Shalom. May David Mamos go unto God in peace. The El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer, can be found on page 20, with the translation and transliteration found on page 21. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen B'Amim, Hamseh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, V'ma'alot Kedoshim V'Tohorim, Gezora Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat David Ben Yaakov V'Shoshana, Shehalach Le'olamo, Began Eden Tehei Menuchato, Ten Baharachamim, Yastirehu B'Tzeter K'nafav Le'olamim, V'Yitzror B'Yitzror HaChaim, Et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, V'Yanuach B'Shalom HaMishkavo V'Nomar, Amen. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of your divine presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto David Mamos, who has gone to his eternal home. Of mercy, bring him under the shelter of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. May you be his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. We continue together with the Mourner's Kaddish, found on page 22. Page 22. Gadal, V'yit Hadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma, Divra, Kedrute, V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon, U'yomechon, U'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, U'bizman Kari, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'alam Olamei Omaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtalach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. Vit Hadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemei Dekudusha, Brihu. La'ela, Minkol, Birchata, Veshirata, Tush Bachata, Venachamata. Da'amiran Be'elma, Vimru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Vimru, Amen. Osei Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'asei Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Vimru, Amen. In just a few moments, for those that feel comfortable, and we'll ask the family to feel free to come first. We're going to ask everyone to participate in what's known as a mitzvah chesed shel emet, a commandment that is done from the depths of our heart, a commandment that is done really with a kindness that cannot be repaid. And that is participating in shoveling dirt upon the grave. And of course, we see this as one of the greatest acts of kindness because it's something that we do for David, which obviously he cannot return for us. It's an act of gratitude for him. And the way we do this is to show a little bit of distinction between the way we hold a shovel during a regular moment and between this moment of holiness. And so you can take the shovel, and often people will take 3 shovelfuls of dirt. Some people choose opposite side of the shovel to really show a distinction. That's your choice. But the one thing to remember is that we don't pass the shovel one person to the next. We pass life to each other. And so once you're done with the shovel, we place the shovel into the dirt for the next person to continue with the mitzvah. And so I invite the family to please come forward as I recite the ancient words of comfort. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you together with all mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Amen. The acts of shoveling conclude the service. So we invite you to participate after the family has a chance to start the mitzvah. Everyone's welcome to come and participate on either side.
And this will conclude the stream.